All right, guys. Continuation of last week. I was talking about our workhorse attendance challenge. Now, I didn't want you to fall off from 25 to 26. And Flor came to me and had some questions about it. She thought I was kind of going against things I've said in the past. And I love it when people come up to me, if they hear what I've talked about and want to disagree. I think that is a great chance for me to realize whether what I said or not was clear and to help crystallize it. And I love those conversations. Flor is a strong, opinionated young lady, as Edwin would testify to. And when she thinks something, she's going to come talk to me about it. And if you know Janelle, I obviously like strong, opinionated women. In fact, I'm glad I met Janelle when I did. I think if I'd met her earlier in life, I needed to learn more things the hard way. I need to become more of a man to meet her where she was at. So when I met Janelle and sought her out, asking her out was one of the most pivotal decisions I've ever made. That was the time and place where I had the mental and relational perspicacity. How about that one? To realize that when she challenged me, this was a really good thing. And this was how it needed to go and how it hadn't gone in the past. So anyways, I digress. Flor was bringing up to me, she's like, you talk about the long game and not wearing yourself out. And yet with these challenges, I feel like you're saying they need to grind it out and go hard. And that is not at all what I'm trying to say. So let me explain again. If you come to class 200 times in a year, that is 4 times a week. If you come to class 4 times a week, there's 52 weeks in the year. That's actually 208 times that you're going to come to class. I don't care your age. Everybody can come to class 4 times a week and do that for the rest of their life and get results. If you even do the 250 attendances in a year, that works out to 5 days a week. If you do 5 days a week, again, 52 weeks in the year, that's 260 classes. Now, not everybody needs to do 5, but most of us could do 5. If you want to do 6, I don't think anyone ever needs to do 6 days a week. But if you like it, and I did 6 days a week in the past, and if your body can handle it, great. But I think everybody can handle 4, and almost everybody can handle 5 days a week. And then she was asking me, well, you say go intensely, we need to work hard. And yes, the 2 mantras I would say is show up, consistency, work hard, intensity. How often do I go intensely? And I'll say, I've talked about this a lot in the past, but there is not a clear cut. There is a clear answer, but then the specifics of that answer are different each person. And it makes me think of, if you think of Glassman's, the phrase we always talk about in CrossFit about eating, eat meat, vegetables, nut seeds, some starch, little sugar. No, some starch, little starch, no sugar, right? I think I got it out. Anyways, close enough. And then the line after that is keep intake levels that support exercise but not body fat. So how much is enough that supports exercise but not body fat? Well, that's different each person. Each of us can find that, but I can't tell you it's 100 grams of this and 50 grams of that because it's different person to person. When we talk about intensity, I would kind of say the same thing about intensity. You need to go intensely enough to support a reaction, to support a adaptation, but you do not get injured or worn out from it. Now, I think overtraining as a phrase is overused nowadays. I think it's a lot harder to overtrain than some people might say, but you can definitely do it. And I've said before, again, if you wake up that morning and your biceps are sore, your lats are sore, your quads are sore, come to the gym and work out. You can work through it. If you wake up and your left shoulder is really achy, your right knee is really hard to bend, then those are the days maybe you need to take a rest or make sure you modify around that joint with what's going on. But how often should we go intensely? Well, at 45, I go intensely less than I do at 25. But this 45-year-old might be able to go intense 3 times a week, and this one might be able to go 2 times a week, really hard. So that's why I say as you get older on this journey, it becomes much more unique and individual to you. We all are abiding by the same kind of physical principles, but all our bodies have different recovery levels, different ways of adapting, and you have to figure that out on your own. So when I was saying last time was not come till you grind yourself into the ground at a level that is not sustainable. The key is to find a level that is sustainable. I was talking with Andy about this, and I was like, what are your goals for 2026 as far as the gym's concerned? And Andy had the perfect answer. He's like, I don't have anything specific. I just want to keep coming to class. Like I've been coming to class, keep working hard. You know, he's going to be doing some fine tuning. He's got a old shoulder injury. We were talking about how to do some work before or after class, working on that. And that's exactly the journey. What is my goal for 2026? More of what was 2025, and specifically the process. The process is the goal. When you're on a track where you're coming to class 3, 4, 5 days a week, and you're doing that 90% of the time, nothing needs to change in your life. Your training will change a little bit here and there along the way in details. What you're working on as we get older, all that changes. Some people like, and I would say it depends on really competitive people, and I think Rich Froning, from a distance, it looks like he would fall into this category. Rich Froning is always going to work out, but he likes having different events along the way to challenge himself, to build that intensity in a certain area, to have that competitive output. So even if he's not doing CrossFit, some bike race, whatever else he's doing, he's finding a way to compete. And I think a lot of people, depending on how your brain works, you like those hurdles you're jumping throughout life. So as soon as I cross this one, I set another one. Then there's a group that I think just finds a groove, a sweet spot, and stays in it. And this is part of what I do. This is how I conduct myself, and this allows me to live the life I want to live. And I think that is the best place to be, when I am coming to class 3, 4, 5 times a week on a regular basis, and I'm exhausting myself at least a couple of those times. So that's why with the workhorse challenge, I had the 200 and the 250, but I also had the physical, the exercise goals, trying to get the PRs, because I'm trying to work in the part, we've all worked on the part of show up, be consistent. I also want to make sure we always work on the part of the work hard and staying with the intensity level. And going into 2026, guys, I think 2026 is going to be a really good year for our community. And I usually would say I think that's the kind of the way my brain works, but I've never said that before out loud like this. But I see a lot of people working on cleaning up their diet, trying to sleep better, trying to make sure they get that extra day. So on average, they're coming 4 days a week instead of 2.5, getting that extra day in there. I see a lot of people that have been doing a lot of the right skills. And this is, like I said, this is the process, this is the path, this is the never-ending journey. But I think we're all set up kind of on the right path and doing it the right way. And some of us are at different places on that, but I see a lot of people doing the right stuff. So I'm very optimistic, guys. Like, we are spurring each other to excellence as we move forward. And so, yeah, so back to Floor's original point. If you're doing something that is not sustainable in the gym, that you're like, I cannot keep this up, then obviously that's too much. The goal is to find that level where this is something I can maintain and having it be more than 2 days a week in the gym. So it's finding that spot in there. And then when you're like, I've been doing this for the last 2 months and this feels really good, then that's it. You're finding the spot. And then always tinkering with what I'm working on before the workout or after the workout, making sure I stay healthy and can keep that consistency. But that's the spot to be. All right, guys, that was all I had for this one. Let me know what you think.